regulators are now investigating a planned merger between former President Trump's new social media company and a shell company. Digital World Acquisition Corp says that it's cooperating with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Financial Industry Regulator Authority. And this comes as Republican Congressman Devin Nunes says that he's leaving the House next month to become the CEO of Trump Media and Technology Group. So for more on this, we want to bring in CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson. Hey, Dan. So as I understand it, the federal investigation into the company merger has less to do with this is a social media platform and more to do with these two companies coming together, which is kind of like, and I'm just learning about this, a kind of a standard business move when businesses are looking to go public.
Yeah, good to see you, Anne-Marie. So if you're confused, join the club. We're all kind of figuring this out in real time. So get ready for some alphabet soup. It's not too bad, though. So as you said, the SEC and FINRA, that's a Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, are investigating the SPAC, that is the Special Purpose Acquisition Company. And I'm looking at my notes here as well, that plans to take President Trump's or former President Trump's company public. Often these SPACs are used to increase opacity or decrease transparency in public companies. And the SEC, they want more information about documents related to communication between Trump's SPAC and his social media ventures.
Okay. So that is to be expected. It's a sort of standard investigation. Moving right along, Trump's company is going to be getting a new CEO. Devin Nunes is retiring from the House to lead this company. What more do we know about this?
That's right. So Devin Nunes, a California congressman, he served on the House Intelligence Committee as it investigated allegations of Russia helping the Trump campaign in 2016. At times, Nunes has appeared to have an axe to grind with Twitter. Specifically, he sued the tech firm after the accounts Devin Nunes' mom and Devin Nunes' cow made fun of him on Twitter.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting choice. We'll see how it all goes. Because I thought to myself, he doesn't really know much about social media, really. But yes, he has complained about being, the victim of social media. Truth Social, however, got off to a bit of a rocky start after the site was hacked soon after it was launched. Not only that, but reports came out that the site ripped off code from another social media platform. Will the former president's social media company actually launch?
Well, that is TBD. We know that it was listed in the iTunes App Store, and yet it was hacked after or social engineered accounts like Real Donald Trump were taken over by hacker malcontents. And we do know that the code was taken from Mastodon. This is a company that makes, ironically, free and open source social media tools. You just have to attribute the code to them and follow their guidelines. Allegedly, the Trump Truth site did not do this. So we don't know. All of that is to say that, yeah, there are probably apps that are ready to go. We know that the code is pretty workable and it's open source, so there's pretty likely to be sites. But we did also report about the actual technology behind these alleged sites back in the spring, and there's a lot of skepticism with those who engineer and build technology tools in the Valley that Trump's sites can, if they launch, actually compete.
Well, was going to be sort of my follow-up question. So should Truth Social, go forward and actually launch? What is the expectations? What are, people in the know, or people familiar with this area saying about how successful his social media platform could be?
Well, Anne-Marie, this might kind of depend on your definition of success. For Trump and his team, success might be just activating their base. They might see this as the new version of, say, an email list or text messaging. And success could be activating your base and getting them to join this new social media site. That seems like success if you are in the Trump team. But success for the scale that they're kind of promoting this at is going to be pretty challenging. They are going to have problems not just competing in terms of technological innovation, but just in terms of scale. What Twitter, Facebook, and others have is not just tech tools and websites and apps, but they have a lot of users. And it's one thing to activate and talk to your base. It's another thing to have the scale of billions of users active all the time, which is going to be challenging.
Yeah, billions of users, and as we have talked about on many occasions, all the data associated with those billions of users. And so speaking of that, Facebook, Twitter, any talk at all of them reinstating the former president's accounts?
Well, we know that the Facebook Oversight Board, Facebook has, of course, rebranded as a company called Meta, but they have a kind of Supreme Court organization that is independent from them, and they rule on content that Facebook removes from the site. They kind of say, well, did you follow the standards or did you not follow the standards? And at the end of the summer, the oversight board kind of kicked the can down the road a year or so and said that Facebook was okay removing former President Trump. Twitter has not indicated that they will reinstate him anytime soon.
All right, Dan, thank you so much.
Great to see you.